Welcome to Two Across, the podcast that's like the Sunday puzzle for your ears, but with more swearing, where we dissect and analyze the New York Times daily crossword. I'm Michael.
And I'm Alex. On the pod today, we're talking about synesthesia, recreational drug use in the Balearic Islands, and Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. So grab your crosswords and a pencil.
Or if you're feeling frisky, a pen.
Because this is Two Across, and we're here to nuzzle your hustle.
Do we even have time to talk about four things today?
That was three things.
It was three things?
It's recreational drug use in the Balearic Islands.
Oh, I see.
Not and Balearic Islands.
I see.
We talked about this. You know what we're talking about today.
Yeah, of course I do.
We're talking about this week in crosswords, which I was underwhelmed by. I thought we had some okay themes, but the construction just wasn't there to back them up. A lot of not great fill.
I agree, and I think that there were also some moments where, you really saw the fact that the New York Times is ultimately just a small town newspaper with a pretty low budget, and they're just doing I'm pretty sure they're a nonprofit, and so they just don't have the resources to do some things. So you just do the best you can when you are the largest newspaper in the world.
Am I reading that right?
Oh, interesting.
Can we fact check that? Yeah, for instance, I'm curious as to the percentage of the New York Times app completing public that uses iPhone versus Android, because Android is a lot more prevalent in the world, but iPhone is a lot more prevalent in the United States. But if you're in the rest of the world and you want to do it, you're definitely doing it on the app and not in the paper.
Sure.
So I'm curious.
It's a US based puzzle. It has a lot of US based answers and questions and zeitgeisty things. And so I think the New York Times can be forgiven for thinking about the US audience more than necessarily like a broader like world audience. But the problem there is that unless you're going to tell me that something like 95% of the US audience is on an iPhone, and you could tell me that, but I wouldn't believe you, then
it's like 50%.
Some rough stuff.
50%. And that 50% definitely skews younger.
Right.
Whereas the puzzle solving public skews older. So I would wager that more than half of solvers are not on an iPhone. And this puzzle for Monday, Earth or Tatooine, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the iPhone here. Was it small letters and raised? Or was it just small letters for you?
It was small letters. It was weird because the capital letters were like in line. And then the small letters were superscript, small and a kind of high. So you got this weird thing where it didn't look like you were writing Tatooine in a small font. It looked like you were writing T to the power of Tatooine.
Interesting. Well, when you're on the web app, it's all small and all raised, which I think is what they were going for. So when they moved it to iPhone, they had a little bit of an issue where the capitals wouldn't be raised. And on Android, they had a little issue where everything was raised, but nothing was small, which turns out the small thing was kind of the important thing.
What does the raised thing do at all? Does the raised thing do anything for the puzzle itself? That confused me. I don't know why they would want it to be up, because Small World, Little League, Microbrewery, Tiny Dancer, none of those things are like, oh, and it's up in the air.
I think two things. One, it's easier to tell that something is wrong, that something has gone on. And two, when you take something to that superscript, it gets smaller. Like, if you do something to the second power, The 2 is not as big as the letter. That's just how it is in like text on a screen on a computer.
Right.
So that was their way of making smaller text, was just by making everything to the power of something. I do wonder how it looked in the paper. We should call Patrick.
I didn't get a look.
Our paper guy.
Patrick is our paper guy.
I didn't. So this was a theme about small words. Earth and Tatooine are both small.
And look, it's a good theme.
NBA, WNBA are little leagues, micro breweries, tiny dancers. Great theme. But again, when over half, arguably, of your crossword solving people on the app can't even see small letters, that's a problem. That's like, we need to change the app so that we can make that work, because they deserve to do the puzzle like everybody else.
Yep.
Other than that, it's a very, very straightforward puzzle.
48 across is haul ass. We love it.
Haul ass is fantastic. There was one cross that I didn't love here, which was like Otoi and Mad on the bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
Was a tough kind of 1-2 right on top of each other, which, you know, a little bit tougher than you probably want on a Monday, but the crosses were there. So not much to say about this one. Just fix your app.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tuesday. Tuesday's puzzle is a really fun theme from Catherine Baker and Adam Wagner. And what they've done is they've taken these words that start with a prefix, suggesting that there is a version of these words without the prefix, but of course, there is no version of the word without the prefix. 17 across is nonchalance. There is no such thing as being chalant. And then you have indolent, discombobulated, misnomer, and unbeknownst. All words that look like they should have antonyms that are simply that word without the negative prefix. All words where taking away the prefix makes it not a word at all. These are some of my favorite kinds of words. That's just like, ever since I was a kid, I really loved these. I always used to love to say that something was unbeknownst to other people, but beknownst to us. And funny. I like to tell people that they're somebody, I'm feeling very discombobulated, and I will feel much better when I'm back to being combobulated. And it's just like, for me, that is just like the dumb, wacky humor that I absolutely love. So I saw this theme and I was like, get me in here.
There's a great song. Are you still talking about the theme?
I was just going to say that because I loved the theme so much and I was like, get me in here, it helped me get past some of the fill that we'll get there harder.
This is the beginning of the fill issues for this week. There's a great song by Tripod, this Australian comedy group called Kempt. And it's singing about a girl who's very kempt. She's so kempt. Mm-hmm. Everything about her was seemly. And just the entire lyric is like, it's like saying nice things about her, but doing it with the negative of not nice things. Like someone's right kempt, someone is kempt. So I don't know. I kind of would have liked that better as a theme. I don't know. I do like this theme, and I like how, you know, they clue it with acrosses that don't exist. Like 17 across says 18 across doesn't mean urgency. And there is no 18 across, but if you started with 18 down and went across, it'd be a different word. Yeah. So it's like it probably made it a lot easier to do it this way. Not easier to build. That makes it harder to build, right, but easier to solve. But yeah, that's,
and it's a more impressive build too. I mean, to be able to make sure that there's a number there and that you can put that extra clue in there is pretty cool.
It's cool. I just love the delight of hearing a word like seemly and your brain kind of doing I've never heard this word before, but I sort of have. What does it mean? And having to like do that thing rather than just seeing casualness and just writing in nonchalance.
Mm.
Right? Like they didn't have to have anything other than the word casualness. And you still could have solved this whole puzzle.
Sure.
So, yep, I don't know. It would have been a very different puzzle and maybe it would have been worse. I don't know. But that's what I kept thinking. Just about that song that I love.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the Phil's not great. I don't think this is the worst of the week for Phil, but specifically it's the crosses. We've got like Waco crossing with Seneca, which is tough. We've got Yentes right on top of Shoe, Elizabeth Shoe, and then Thanos is crossing that, as well as NSFW, which is not cleared in an abbreviation way. So that's just a really tough area there for people who aren't Marvel fans or who aren't, on the internet a lot with not safe for work material. So those, and then Ernesto and Posner. Who could forget Mike Posner with the 2015 hit "I Took a Pill in Ibiza"? Wow.
I'm pretty sure I've never heard this song. Have we heard this song? Do we know this song?
Yeah, we know this song. I took a pill in Ibiza.
Saying it fast doesn't mean that I know it.
I took a pill in Ibiza. It's the only lyric in. It's like a house song.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't sing any of the rest of it, but you hear it, you'll know it. You'll know the whatever melody.
Sure.
So yeah, Posner and Ernesto, just a bad cross. Just a bad thing for two things to be crossing each other. And
yeah, I also want to just voice my general disdain for CNET, which we see reasonably often in the
more
puzzle.
and more.
And 40 down, drivers 180, UE, which is one of these words that gets spelled differently, but is clued the same way. Sometimes it's UIE.
And for that to be there with Yentes.
Yeah, it's some of that is rough, to be fair.
Bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam.
Is that "I Took a Pill in Ibiza"?
Yes. I took a pill and Ibiza.
We also get 11 and 12 down, Be Honest, and then I Can't Lie, which was fun for me.
Yeah.
But that's about it. That's about all I have for this Tuesday puzzle.
Yeah.
It's like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Probably more Wednesday difficulty in those certain little chunks. But did you say 7 out of 10?
Ish.
Let's talk about Wednesday.
Oh, like the 7 out of 10 split?
Makes 7-10 split. This is a great theme. 7-10 split, banana split, stock split, and then lickety split. And we're doing the splits. Very solid. You would think that because you don't have to put these splits into one word and you could split them into two words, that would allow the fill to be whatever you wanted it to be and just be a nice time. But it's not that. It's not that.
Instead, we get CK1.
CK1, unisex fragrance. Unisex fragrance might be the worst pairing of words that you could put at the beginning of a best man speech. Sorry, there's a wedding this weekend.
It's definitely
Talking about
up there.
talking about bad speeches.
You get Loma Linda up there,
Loma Linda,
which is a really long, like quite a long and specific San Bernardino suburb.
At least Loma Linda at least has some good crosses. Crosses for Loma Linda, with the exception of oh no, queued in like a very tough way for a Wednesday. Those crosses are pretty good. But yeah, CK1. We also get Otsego 31 down. That's crossing with Gus, which is bad. Ebro for a river in Spain is crossing with the Spanish of 2B. Incept is a word based off of the movie Inception, which came out in 2012, I think. I feel like this should have been clued for that movie specifically. Plant as an idea in a 2012 sci-fi film. It's not like sci-fi slang. It's not like a bunch of science fiction is using this word.
Has science fiction adopted this word since that movie came out?
I mean, maybe we just don't know. And there's like a ton of media out there that's sci-fi where people are incepting stuff left and right. Don't think about elephants. But I think for the people who are going to get this clue based off of the way that it's clued, they're going to know Inception. It's a whatever back formation of Inception.
Right.
And so just clue it for that specific movie. Don't just say sci-fi slang. It just makes it feel very, very general. It ups difficulty, which maybe that's what they wanted, but that's crossing with EID. Eid. Eid al-Fitr, which I'm sure is a thing that a lot of people celebrate. But it's tough for those two things to cross. And then TKTS 53 down, crossing with Sweat.
Sweat is just really, really bad.
So it's bad.
MSS is also bad right next to it. And
it's crossing TKTS, which if you're from New York or visit New York regularly, you've probably heard of it. But for everyone else, good luck.
Yeah, we get a little bit. It's so funny. We get some of the TKTS, which is like, hey, it's the New York Times. So, you got to know some New York stuff in order to solve the puzzle. And what better example of some New York stuff that you need to know to solve the puzzle than Loma Linda?
Loma Linda. A lot of people call that the sixth borough.
The city's so nice, they named it twice.
They named it Loma and Linda. The other name. Manhattan, Astoria, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island.
Does it bother you that is sometimes AHH and sometimes AAH?
Yes.
Cool. Should we talk about Thursday?
If we have to.
Let's talk about Thursday.
This was the worst offender of the week for me.
I loved this Thursday theme.
That's not what you said on the Rapid React.
I know, but I'm looking at it now and I'm kind of like, this is fun.
The theme is fun. I agree. I like the theme. It's
what did I say on the Rapid React? It's not a Thursday.
Doesn't sound what I said. Thursday.
Yeah, it's not a Thursday.
I think it's it has to be a Thursday because it's an inside joke for crossword solvers. And that kind of thing does not fly on any other day of the week. You can do it on, April Fool's Day. And you can do it you can do one clue of it hidden in a grid. That's a little cheeky thing for the crossword solvers out there, but you can't have it be the whole theme. So this clue, they use the phrases for many, for one, for short, for example, and for instance, which are everywhere in crosswords to show abbreviations or examples, but they turn it on their head so that slang for many is not slang that many people use. it's slang for many. So for all these, you kind of have to erase the comma and put quotes around the final word. Slang for many. And then I for one. That's probably the jankiest of them. But then scientific definition for short is an electrical fault. Length, for example, that is the length for the word example is 7 letters. And then anagram, for instance, in quotes, is ancients. So it's very much an in-joke, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, which makes me feel like you could only run this on a Thursday, which makes it feel Thursday to me. But
okay, so here's the problem. You explaining this just makes me like this more. My qualm with this was it doesn't feel like a Thursday. I think I agree with you. That makes sense what you're saying. So then now we're at a point where, okay, well, it does fit on a Thursday. It is kind of a Thursday. It's like a different Thursday, but it's not rebusy, but this is great. This is super fun.
The theme is super fun. I love it.
And
I think people who don't do crosswords are not going to like it.
But people who don't do crosswords don't do crosswords. Yeah.
Right. If they're not doing it, then
it's not hurting them. They're not doing did you go around on Thursday being like, hey, you wouldn't have gotten this? Did you do the crossword?
Like, yeah, it was a pretty good burger, but I think people who don't eat burgers wouldn't like it.
Would not like this burger.
Nobody's asking the Thursday to be the accessible puzzle of the week. So you can't really complain.
And
about the theme, you can complain about other stuff.
How to Dougie? You get teach me how to Dougie in here. You get gloomier in here. You get Kahlua. You get somersault.
Stop. What are you doing?
I'm just saying some of the fun things that you get in this puzzle as Phil, who doesn't want to write stolid in a crossword puzzle.
We're running out of good things. There is an absurd amount of proper nounage in this puzzle. Not only that, there is an absurd number of squares in which two proper nouns cross. I think it's like 17 squares are two proper nouns crossing in this puzzle. Go back and watch the rapid react where I actually restarted the puzzle, threw off my time, stats. That's why this puzzle is blue, is because I restarted it so that I could show all of the squares. I was like, this is as far as you can get in this puzzle without knowing any proper nouns. And some of them are pretty gettable. Like Kansas is the home and no place like home. It's the Wizard of Oz. It's arguably the most knowable movie of all time. So you can't really be that mad. But it's like Kansas crossing with Kahlua, crossing with Hitman, crossing with Ari Aster from Hereditary, and another director, Alana Haim, not director, but co-star of Licorice Pizza. All those things crossing each other right next to SNL for Savings and Loan, which may be my least favorite clue of the year so far. So all those things crossing just ups the difficulty to an insane degree and leads to really bad puzzle solving experiences. On the top left, we have Ohio crossing with Toledo. They're sister cities.
It's cute.
Toledo, Ohio is a sister city.
Yeah, I was going to say Toledo and Ohio are not sister cities.
It's cute, but if you don't know it, you can't get either of them.
Sure you can.
You can't. If you don't know it, you can't. Once you get everything else, you can. But what does it take to get everything else here? You either have to know Bolero, proper noun, or Chloe Zhao, proper noun, or the clue for mall is chain letter, ? Which is absurd. I had to Google this. Did you know this one?
I did not get it until I Googled it after solving the puzzle.
And then one down is
yeah, that's wrong.
Which could easily be Buzz, which totally throws off Toledo.
So we have these. It can't be Buzz
It can be Buzz.
because it's not Zalito.
Right. If you have Toledo, you're fine. If you have Toledo, Ohio, you're fine. I had Bolero because of In the Heights, old forgotten boleros, and I still really struggle with that top left corner. It's the proper nouns crossing. I think it's cute to have two things that are proper nouns crossing like that. But if the rest of the stuff around it is not gettable, I'm sure a ton of people just fell on their face in this corner, and that is not fun.
Okay, here's the thing. If you get Buzz one down, if you think it's going to be Buzz,
Which I do.
You've got one down, Buzz, and then you go to two down, and you're like, I have to look at 20 across. You look at 20 across. You're like, I don't know what a sister city. I don't know what these are. So then you get Bolero. You have Bolero, whatever it is. Bolero.
If you're like me and you know it.
Or if you don't, you look at one across, total dud, and you've got a B. So if you get bomb, which is not an insane ask, and it's not a proper noun, now you have 4 letters. There's only like 3 states. There's only 2 states that are 4 letters long.
How do you know two down is a state?
There's 3. Utah. Forgot about Utah.
How do you know two down? How do you know two down is a state?
Are 4 letters long?
You don't know that two down is a state.
You do, because 20 across says, with 2 down, the oldest sister city in the U.S.
Oh, I forgot that there are no cities that have 2 words.
It's either a 2-word city,
which that couldn't be.
How many do you know?
It's obviously a state, because why would they clue something city if they weren't going to include the state? Listen to yourself. Why are you defending this?
I don't think that's that bad. I agree with you that some of this proper noun stuff is bad, but I don't think that Toledo, Ohio is as bad as you're making it out to be. And I think that this corner is more gettable. Even not knowing mall, you get zillions. Once you get zillions, if you know Chloe Zhao, like, these things will open up. And if you don't, yeah, it's tough, and it's really, really rough. But the thing is, once you figure out the theme, zillions is your path into this corner. And if you have 2 of the 4 letters of Ohio and you know that it's the second word of a city, you can either say, yeah, it could be a city whose second word is Otis, and I just don't know the city. Or you could say, hey, maybe this is Ohio. Maybe it's a city in Ohio.
Yeah, and then obviously, because it's
just put it in there.
Just put it in there, and then it can't be Z-O. It can't be Z. There are no cities in Ohio that start with Z-O, famously.
I only know like 4 cities in Ohio: Cleveland, Cincinnati, Toledo. I only know 3 cities in Ohio.
I didn't even know Toledo.
Holy Toledo? You didn't know that was in Ohio?
I didn't know where it was. I didn't even know it was a real place.
We've talked about this for too long. We got to get on to Friday.
You're wrong and I'm right. That's an egregious corner. There's too much proper nounage crossing in this puzzle. Get with it. Get busy living, get busy dying.
Baby Shark was the first YouTube video to reach 10 billion views. Did you know that?
I didn't.
I can think of no video more apt.
I'm sure some people just watched it on their computer and not on the app.
Oh, that's funny. This Friday had a lot of great stuff in it. It had honor roll, which is one of my favorite clues of the whole week.
The clue is a student's spot. And that's Friday goodness for you. You're like, a student could be in many places. It's a student's spot.
What do you get when you're an A student? What spot do you go in? You go in the honor roll.
Phenomenal.
It's you get this lovely little daredevil empty nest masseuses down at the bottom, which is just like a great little corner. You get sushi bar and brunch menu. I mean, there's just so many really. You get the talk, which is super fun. It's just like David Distenfeld did an absolutely great job with this Friday.
My big pickup on this Friday, I didn't like Today Only. It like stuck out to me as like, I don't know if I've ever seen a sign that said Today Only. I'm sure one exists in the world, but I would say like one day only.
Not before
or something. Like, why are you going to make a big sign if it's just for today?
You can just draw on it.
Just draw.
Well, you say, no, the thing is you make the today only sign.
And then you use it multiple days.
The sign you can use whenever you want.
Right.
Just put it up and put it. You wouldn't paint it on like a wall.
It gave me trouble because it's not super salient for me. But then I started noticing how many multiple word clues are in this puzzle. You got baby shark, great idea, at any cost, tip in, post haste, today only, is it okay, daredevil, empty nest, Yankee swap, B game, honor roll, side eye, the talk, sushi bar,
US
pull aside, US embassy, oh no, I see, A1, just a crazy amount of multiple word clues, which we've talked about a little bit in the past. They up difficulty of puzzles. They make puzzles harder if you're not ready for them. There's a lot of puzzles out there that let you know specifically when there are multiple word clues. They'll say 2 words or 4 words in like parentheses because they do make puzzles a lot harder. And so that makes this puzzle harder.
You know what else makes this puzzle harder?
What?
Is taking the word sweet and adding 2 letters in the middle of it.
We've seen so wheat a couple of times very recently. And yeah, I kind of hate it.
I hate it, Alex. I really hate it.
We've had it.
And
yeah,
I get what they're doing.
We've had it 3 times since March 16th.
They're tied. They're cluing it in a way that the word in the clue is also misspelled, and so you know that you're gonna like do something to the word, but like it really strains what's legal in crosswords. You talked about what if we had a clue that, or a theme that instead of discombobulated and indolent and what was the other one?
Yeah, you put in words that don't mean anything.
What if you just put in the words combobulated?
Combobulated.
And I was like, you can't. My initial gut response to that was that's a fun idea, but one of the rules of the New York Times crossword is that like you've got to have words, and that's one of the things. Sometimes like you'll see a theme like the split puzzle, where we're splitting the word of the themer between 2 clues, but those 2 clues still have to be words in and of themselves. They have to be answers in and of themselves.
That doesn't always track.
That's the rule.
That's not a rule.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it gets broken, but it's like it is what like how am I wrong? What's the
There are a lot of themes out there where the actual clue is nonsense.
Where the actual answer is nonsense?
Yeah.
Give me for instance.
It happens. It doesn't happen as often these days. For instance, that friggin' look at the puzzle this way, Comic-Con. And like the actual...
Okay, but those are still words.
Yeah, when you know how to translate it into words, they're still words. But they don't have to be words on the page. Is all I'm saying.
This is different than that. because what we're doing is we're misspelling a word on purpose.
Yeah, we're spelling it the way that people say it,
which
makes it not a word anymore.
there's a ton of words that you could spell differently than how people say it. If I put February in a crossword and I just got rid of the R,
February,
and it wasn't part of a theme, it was just like the month after January.
You'd have to clue it in a way that let people know you're going to misspell it.
You just shouldn't be able to misspell it.
Here's
I just misspell January. I put January, and then they have to put February.
You put like the month after January. That it's misspelled. Here's what I like about it. I agree that I kind of wish I'd never seen it, but we have had it 3 times since March 16th, and it had happened like once before in 2015. So Rebecca Goldstein on March 16th kicked us off, and now it seems like a thing that's happening, but every time it's clued, it's a synonym in quotes that's misspelled. So we had beautiful with dashes in between, like 2 E's and B, the word you, tiffle. We had nice with 3 I's and some dashes in there. And now we have amazing in quotes. So if nothing else, I'm excited to see other ways they can say that and like misspell it. The second they reuse one of these, I'm off the train entirely.
I'm trying to pull up the tracks.
Wow. No trains. Don't come back this way.
I don't want to be on this train.
Back to the station.
I don't like this train one little bit.
This was a tough Friday, but a fair Friday. Nothing really to hate here except Yankee swap. Had you heard of this?
Yeah, of course I've heard of this.
You've heard of a Yankee swap?
Absolutely.
Before The Office?
No.
Okay. Great.
But again, if you're not watching The Office, shame on you.
If you haven't watched The Office, why are you doing the crossword puzzle?
Here, you ready for a hot take? We don't do a whole lot of hot takes on the New York Times Crossword Puzzle podcast.
Two across, famously titled.
Here's one for you. Steve Carell, in his role as Michael Scott in The Office, is one of the 5 best acting performances this century. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm not talking about TV. I'm not talking about comedy. It is that good.
By this century, you mean
since the year 2000?
Since the turn of the century. Okay. Not like over the last century.
Since the year 2000.
You know, I was wondering why we don't do more hot takes, and I'm glad to know.
You think that's too hot? Is that too spicy for you?
It's not too hot. It's just...
It's so masterful. He has at least every other episode, he has a moment where he is just so honest and so in that character. And that character is such a farce of a character. And he plays it so honestly. And it is so funny because of that. And there are times where you watch that show and you hate that character. But he is playing it. He's not playing it for laughs. He's not playing it over the top. He's playing it with such full commitment and honesty to the role. And that's what makes it so funny. And it is absolute genius. It should surprise nobody that he has done such great work since then and has been able to be great in a variety of different roles before and since. If you like Steve Carell, go watch Bruce and Evan Almighty. He's great in both those movies.
Despicable Me.
I have not actually seen the Despicable Me movies. Are they good?
I mean, yes.
His voice is very funny. In that one, he's playing a caricature, and I have no idea if he's being honest or not. But in The Office specifically,
I agree. If you're
it is
unsure,
way up there.
if you're unsure of the greatness of that performance, go watch The British Office and compare him to Ricky Gervais, who is great and very funny. But to be able to take that character and turn it into Michael Scott is insane.
Yeah,
is insane.
And the writers realized it after the first season. They realized, oh, Steve Carell has actually got, like, he can do all of this, and we can actually keep all of the things that people hate about Michael Scott and make him a lovable and relatable character, an empathetic character at the same time. And Michael Scott gives you range. I can't say enough about Steve Carell. It's way up there, people. Way up there.
Way up there. Let's talk about Saturday.
Let's do it.
Lolcat is a thing. It hasn't been a thing for a hot minute. And it makes me wonder about fads. And like, it was a big thing, but only for like 3 years of the internet. And now we're still getting it in puzzles decades later. Is this like the pet rock thing where we think of the 70s and like everybody had a pet rock and like, how dumb was that? What a dumb idea. And people who lived through it are like, it was a thing for like 2 years. People went nuts over it. But now we're still talking about it. That to me is lol.
I never really got the lolcat thing. So if you had given me this puzzle in 2006, my response probably would have been, I can't do crossword puzzles.
Well, it didn't. You couldn't do them back then. That's pretty funny. It wasn't 2006. It was like 2011, I want to say.
Okay. So if you'd given to me in 2011, I would have said, I can't do crossword puzzles.
I don't have time.
I don't have the subscription.
I'm very busy.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that should there be a statute of limitations on when you can bring in, how big does a fad need to be for it to be timeless? Like, are silly bands, can we put silly bands in a crossword puzzle now?
I don't think so. I think you could,
but we could put Beanie Babies in a crossword. Beanie Babies are timeless.
You can put silly bands in a puzzle the same distance after silly bands as lolcat.
And silly bands came after lolcat.
Did they?
I don't know.
I thought they were before.
But
maybe not. Oh my god.
But Beanie Babies are timeless. Like, you could put Beanie Babies in a crossword puzzle 12 years from now. Because they were
accruing value.
They were
They're worth more now than ever.
And that is ROI. If you put, if the fad is big enough, that's what I think people don't understand, is that if the fad is big enough, it's timeless. But is lolcat a large enough thing? Like, what's the fad going on right now? Like TikTok dances? I imagine that those are going to go away eventually, right?
Never.
Okay.
Dancing?
Well, yeah, it's just a phase, the dancing.
I loved a lot of stuff in this puzzle. It really kicked my ass. It was a tough Saturday. I didn't know Willa Cather. And the some of the clues gave me trouble, but there's just a lot to really love here. I love seeing Sue Bird. And I love meme account to go with lolcat. You loved synesthesia. I love katana. I really love Seagoat, specifically because my girlfriend Mary is pretty into astrology, and she grew up like the first 14, 15 years of her life as a Sagittarius, the centaur. And she was like on the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, but she was a Sag. And she went to get her whatever star chart done. And it turns out, because of the time of day that she was born and the stars, whatever, can't do it, not today, she's actually Capricorn. And it completely wrecked her. Because she was like, she had all these negative stereotypes about Capricorns. She's like, that's not me. But it turns out she was just hiding from her true self. And the worst part was that she went from the beautiful centaur shooting the bow and arrow to the sea goat. She's now a goat in the ocean. That was the hardest part. So I was like, Mary, you got to do the crossword today. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Finally getting the recognition that the sea goat deserves. It's the first time sea goat's been in the puzzle. Hopefully not the last. I'm sorry to all of the Capricorns out there that you have to be a sea goat, but I guess it's better than a crab, right?
I think it is better than a crab.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about some negative stereotypes associated with your sign. You're talking to a Gemini over here.
Ooh, that's tough.
People who care about this stuff
hate them.
I just make up a different birthday and I try to make it as far from mine as possible. And somehow they're like, that makes you a Gemini. No matter what day I pick, it's like, oh, you're a Gemini. And I think they can tell. I think they can tell. Actually, I think somebody listening to this who cares is probably like, yeah, you're hiding. You're trying to be something that you're not. That's such a Gemini move. One of my favorite bits about astrology comes from a comedian who is doing crowd work, and he asks the crowd, based on my personality so far, does anybody want to guess what sign I am? And the crowd somebody guesses like Virgo, and he says, that's wrong, but I'll give you 11 more guesses. And they guess again, and that's wrong. They guess a third time, and he says, that's right. And a girl yells out, I knew it. And he's like, you can't say that on the third guess, because do you know what is the funniest? Is that I'm actually not that thing that I said I was.
Yeah.
And then another girl says, I knew it. And he's like, how do you guys not get this? How is this not registering?
It was the first guess.
My pretty Dorothy to the Wicked Witch of the West, it was such a fun thing to type in.
Yep.
I agree. I had a little bit of trouble with this puzzle, especially the Lanos and Enos. And
Lanos and Enos right next to Cyrus.
Yes.
Tough.
We also have Des Perez, suburb of St. Louis, and we have Vermont municipality southeast of Montpelier, which is Barr, which is insane to me. This is like, we already have this puzzle that is hard enough, and we decide to put these two things. You've got Des Moines right there, and you've got Barr. You could clue Barr in other ways, including ballet.
Yeah.
And instead, not once but twice, the constructor of this puzzle and or Will Shortz and or the New York Times editing team, because you never know what gets changed in editing, so I don't want to necessarily put it on Erica, but somebody decided that not once but twice we should make it important that we include a town of fewer than 10,000 people.
Yeah. 8,000 in Barr.
And I think like 9-2 in Des Perez.
Yep.
It's insane.
No flack towards those suburbs, municipalities.
I've got no problem with those places. I lived in a town of 9,000 people for 3 years, and it was 3 of the best years of my life. I absolutely love Abingdon, Virginia. Shouts to the southwest corner of Virginia, Washington County. You people are my boys. But I wouldn't be like, oh, people better know Abingdon, Virginia. They better put Abingdon in the puzzle someday. I actually hope they do.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder if it was constructor or editor.
It does.
Like, it feels like, to me, I'm picturing the constructor wanting this puzzle to be just a solid puzzle. And so they would put Des Moines or Day something else.
Yeah.
And bar, like pretty popular class. You can do like a bar class, right? Not just a ballet class, but like a fitness class on the bar. And the editors were like, yeah, what's the Saturday? We're going to run this on Saturday, so we need it to be a little harder. So we're going to crank it up a little bit in just like the least fun way imaginable.
It's already crossing Llanos, which is pretty tough, and Llanos is right next to Cyrus and crossing Enos. Like we've already got
bar crosses Carlo and Salati.
We've already got plenty of difficulty in both those corners.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a very frustrating in what is otherwise a really, really great puzzle. I really loved it. And crossword constructors, one of the things that I loved about this puzzle is that Erica says in her notes, she said that she had an alternative clue for synesthesia, neuropsychological trait that may make you feel blue. Oh my gosh, what a delightful clue that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
I want more constructors to just put words like this in puzzles. This is just a fantastic $10 word that I would argue enough people know, but is also a word that doesn't come up often in conversation. I don't know. I don't know. There might only be one word that fits this description, synesthesia, but it's just a perfect word.
And it is kind of sad that it kind of sounds like an editor decision to make it, more gettable, to just like describe it.
And like, what are we doing? Hey, we don't want that to be make you feel blue. We need to make the puzzle easier to make up for the fact that we've got Des Perez and Bar, which there's only one way to clue these, and it's going to be kind of tough. So let's make the best word in the puzzle just a little bit, just like 20% more boring.
Yeah, just some boring decisions were made.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Sunday was fun for us kids from the South. I really was smacked in the face by 23 Across. The clue of it, bigamy, legally speaking. I was like, we're in for it today. What the fuck is this? Bigamy, legally speaking?
Oh, gosh. Where are we going?
Boy, howdy.
And how do I pull the tracks off this train?
Where did we come from? Where do we go? Cotton Eye Joe. That's a marquee clue right there. Boom.
Absolutely. We also get mother-in-law, which is a statute regulating surrogacy. I mean, we are really dancing around some really, really tough spaces with this, which, if you think about it, that's kind of our whole bag as Southerners, is dancing around like some like super fringe kind of areas of our lives with cutesy talk.
It's true. I think those were the two best ones. I did like 55 down, 110 to reply quickly, because that one actually sounds like something that someone from the South would say.
Oh yeah, he's the respondent kind.
So if he hadn't said nothing to you, then we should go check up on him, because there might be something.
If he ain't said something, then that's saying something.
That's saying something. If he ain't said something, he's the respondent kind. I like that there were 8. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, in that vein, I was just also going to say that a waiting line, enjoying your meal or I'll be serving you today, that's a waiting line. But I wish that they had come up with a way to clue it. All lines fundamentally are lines that you wait in. So all lines you would think are waiting lines. but I still would have loved it if they had clued it as like a group of people lined up outside of like an Apple store or something. And it's like, oh, that over there, that's the waiting line. That's where you go to wait.
Mm.
I would have loved that.
I like it better this way
What would you
because,
say about eight themers?
well, it's kind of like, because for some of these, they change the meaning of the last word. Like respond in kind versus respond in kind, which I like better than a mother-in-law is a mother according to the law, and a mother-in-law is a law. So it's like just the same thing. So I kind of like that it's shifted from a wait in line, which is a line that you wait in, to a line that you say when you're waiting.
Sure.
Different opinions. I like that there was 8 of these clues, which is very impressive, and none of them cross, which allowed the fill to be fine. 8 themers is an insane amount to fit into a Saturday. If a bunch of them were like crossing, like lines, the different clues were crossing a bunch of them, it just becomes a huge pain to construct that puzzle. So we get some pretty cool big chunkers in the corners because we don't have to worry about things crossing. Because these 2 long down ones, 55 down and 16 down, don't cross any of the other themers. I think that in the past, the puzzle has kind of shied away from doing this because they want the themers to be visible. They want people to know where the themers are. If we have some going across and some going down, how will they know? And it's kind of like not giving the solver credit to be able to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think the general wisdom is that a theme clue, typing it in, it's easier to see on a horizontal kind of aspect. So we're doing things, we're playing with the language, we're playing with the answer, we're doing something different, and it's easier to keep that straight and see where you're going if we're not also taking our language, which we know as a left to right horizontal language 99.999% of the time, and turning it into a vertical up down language. It just adds that extra level of difficulty. But I like your point. I think your point still stands that we can give our solvers a little bit more credit.
Yeah, and I don't think it adds any, like, it doesn't add any prestige to the puzzle to only allow things that go across. We also in the past have had a lot of puzzles that went down. Sometimes because that was thematic for all the themers to go up and down, but sometimes just because that's what made the puzzle work. But they didn't have a ton that would, like, some would go across and some would go down. I think they're doing more and more of that, which is allowing for better construction. And this was a pretty clean Sunday for me. I don't want to say easy, but I didn't get stuck as often and as I do on a lot of Sundays.
I want to shout out 17 down, 5 letters, products with screens or a homophone of a type of big screen becomes IMAX. Just really like the type of clue that it's just an aha moment. It's just a chef's kiss moment.
And a good way to justify putting IMAC into your puzzle, because we see that all the time and it always just feels like they needed a word that started with I. And that made it work. So yeah, that was beautiful. How do you feel about Iditarod? We've seen that a couple of times.
I did not know that it was held in March.
Me neither.
And that meant that I had to get quite a few of these crossers. It's one of those clues that I think you can either get, like, maybe there's like a cheeky way of making a pun about the kind of race that it is, but it seems like if you call it a dog race, it's way too easy.
Yeah.
And if you call it a race that's held in March, it's like you're not going to get it until you get some of the crosses and you know that it's a race. And I think that there's maybe a happy medium. This might be a good place for a segment of okay, you do it then, because I don't know how you would clue Iditarod in a way, but I feel like there's got to be something to clue it about a race, and
It's been clued.
dogs.
It's been clued with question marks in the past. Dog days of winter.
That's good.
Eh.
Okay.
And then dashing through the snow. Question mark. That was on a Saturday, so they were really, really trying to make it tough. I think the problem is that there's two different tracks that they use. It's not always in the same place. So I think this would be better if it was like race held in this location in March. Because then you'd be able to say, oh, that place would be really cold in March.
Right. Is it always Alaska?
Is it? Anchorage or Nome?
Nome is Alaska too, isn't it?
Oh, they go from Anchorage to Nome. Yeah, and there's two routes in the middle. But it looks like they don't clue it. They don't ever clue it with Alaska.
That seems like a.
Make it too easy?
Maybe. I mean, there's only so many Alaskan races. I don't know.
But yeah, something about dogs, something about the snow, something about the location of it. Early March doesn't do it.
Yeah, it was tough, but I love the Iditarod, and Balto was one of my favorite movies growing up. So, I'm never gonna be too upset about that. Why are we still doing clues like 51 down? What is the most unhinged that we think one of these clues could be? Because I think that found at the end of Citizen Kane is we're nearing the limit of as unhinged. Like, what's the weirdest word that I could put in here?
I think, well, we're always going to have these kind of clues.
Right, but like if we can put what's found at the end of Citizen Kane just to get silent E,
I think what's going to allow them to still be fun is the more unhinged that they get, the better it'll be. So I'm excited to see the crazy places that we go with this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's about all I had on this puzzle. I agree with you. I thought it was I think that the setup allows for better fill, and we get fun things. We get chanting, we get Iditarod, which I liked, we get Red Panda, which was super fun, we get Tonkatsu, which I loved seeing in the puzzle. We just get like some good. We got Foster Dad, which was a great clue. Oh wait, no, Foster Dad is just certain legal guardian. What was the clue that was really great that I loved? There was one in here. Oh, we got Rap Duo, which was fun.
Yeah.
It's just we get To the Max, which I enjoyed. There's just good stuff in here.
And there's also opposites. 103 down. And that crosses with Accra. That's tough. But it does. That's also with Knacker. It's a good segue into Worst Cross of the Week.
Yeah, what you got?
Opposites and Knacker is pretty bad. I think is Cyrus and Enos from Saturday.
Cyrus and Enos cross on Saturday, but I
think it's Ernesto and Posner for me.
I think it's Enos and Lanos for me. I had Enos and Lanos with an A there, and both of those sounded great to me. And I thought I had issues elsewhere in the puzzle, and it took me a long time, so I did not like that one very much.
I'm sure people like Mike Posner. Is he the one who also did Cooler Than Me?
It's probably
yeah, that's also Mike Posner.
What was your puzzle of the week?
My
Say it
puzzle
at the
of the
same
week.
time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thursday.
Not Thursday. Get off of my ass. Don't. I don't know. I kind of didn't like this. I think the best puzzle was Monday, but like the technical issues just infuriated me.
I think Tuesday is also really good. I like Discombobulated and
probably Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday is probably my favorite, which is rare. But yeah, Saturday I really like the puzzles that Erica does. I'm really excited to see more from her. So yeah, weird week. Some goods and some bads. Hopefully our technical troubles with the app are over.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see what happens next week.
That's it for this week. Until next time, you can find us on Instagram at 2acrosspod for instant reactions to the crossword every day.
This episode was produced by David Cohn and edited by Judd Bushler. Mastering from Alan Iverson. Original music by Clark Singleton. This is 2 Across.
And that's another one down.